Welcome to KC Cares, Kansas City's nonprofit voice. We're telling the stories of Kansas City nonprofits and the people behind them. KC Cares is proudly sponsored by the Ewing Marion Kaufman Foundation. I'm Ruth Baum-Biggis, and behind the scenes, Bobby Keys. The Kansas City Chiefs are headliners for many, many things, firsts, record-breaking, etc. But there's a group of former players who are making big contributions off the field in the game of life, and they don't always make the headlines, and we're going to shed some light on that. Number 59, the barbershop, Shawn Barber, is leading the charge these days. He is president of the Chiefs Ambassadors. Hi, Shawn. It's great to see you from a distance.
Always a pleasure, Ruth. Always love the way you spread so much joy all over the entire Kansas City community. But yes, I would love to have a chance to dive into what our ambassador, Kansas City Ambassador Group, which is a group of alumni that have dedicated themselves to community service and trying to find ways to impact and spread the footprint of the Chiefs Kingdom. You see that we have the running back tour flag. We got the championship flag. I stay draped out in Chiefs swag with all the different things I'm doing with the pre and post game show. But we have a group of about 45 to 50 guys that are spread throughout the Kansas City community. They're doing a great job of continuously supporting our Chiefs organization, but also supporting our community in different ways.
Let's bring our audience, though, a little bit of history about you personally. You played for the Chiefs. Tell us a little bit about when you got here and what that was like. This is your sizzle reel.
Okay.
Right here on KC Cares.
All right, the barbershop bio. Graduated in 1998 out of the University of Richmond. I was drafted by the Washington football team is what it's called now. The Washington football team drafted me in 98. Played 4 years for that team. Went to the Eagles. When I went to the Eagles, I was actually able to play under Coach Andy Reid in 2002. And then I came out here to Kansas City. I played 3 seasons for the Kansas City Chiefs, 3, 4, and 5. And then I went back to Philadelphia and played another year under Coach Andy Reid in 2006. My final season in the NFL was 2007, which I closed out with a 1-year stint. We went 8-8, first non-losing season for the Houston Texans. And that's when I retired. Retired in 2007. Since then, dibble and dabbled in a bunch of coaching, scouting, different areas of the NFL. Coached a little bit at college here locally. I was a position coach at Baker University for a few seasons. Then I got into health insurance, selling property and casualty. Kansas City Insurance Group, great insurance group here, owned locally. Corey Snobble and a group of guys and girls that are doing a great job brokering auto and home insurance. And then I moved and transitioned to group health care. And now I work for the McGinnis Group, which also co-owns a company called Own KC, which does apparel for a lot of local charities and events. And so I'm co-hosting Chiefs Field Pass and Chiefs Rewind, which is on the Chiefs digital platform. We do a pregame and a postgame show. Then I have a weekly segment called Defending the Kingdom, which I co-host with the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, one Mitch Holtis. And we talk about faith, family, and football. So those are the things I do nonstop. I'm blessed to be married, a beautiful wife of 17 years, and we have 6 kids that are infiltrated throughout Kansas City. I'm doing a lot of great things in the sporting world and church world and the community, nonprofit and volunteering. So I got 5 boys and a girl. That's my sizzle reel.
Wow. So many of our players on the Chiefs are not born and bred here in Kansas City. They come to us from other communities, et cetera. And like you, many finish up. Why did you decide to make Kansas City your home base? I mean, I know you're from Virginia, so why here? Why did you?
I think we call ourselves transplants. And I think what it is once you get to Kansas City, like I said, I played in the Eagles. I played in the Eagles organization. I played for the Washington football team. I played for the Houston Texans. All those organizations are great, but the communities around them, I think that when it came down to it, just the quality education you can receive here in Kansas City, especially in the Blue Valley District. You talk about the price of living here in Kansas City. We talk about the Midwest. And then you talk about the quality of life, the lower stress level. I'm a very homely homebody. I don't need the clubs and the shows and the concerts. I love being around my family and just being at home. So Kansas City was a perfect fit for me. It allowed me to really just hone in and kind of fine-tune my character, my morals, my integrity, all those type things. Obviously, playing a number of years in the NFL, sometimes those priorities get a little bit unevenly yoked throughout your career. You're pulled in a lot of different directions. You make a lot of sacrifices. And then when you retire, you have to kind of reset those value systems. And so Kansas City was just a great place for me, spiritually, mentally, on a personal level, to really kind of reset my values and get back on track when it comes to my spirit.
So you finish a 10-year career, 2007. The ambassadors are already there. How old are the ambassadors as an organization?
Man,
I was trying to find that.
It's a shame, I don't know, but for some reason I think that they just celebrated their 40th or 50th year. I believe that I think it was 2070. 1970 or 1980 was the first year of it. So it's either they celebrated their 40th or 50th, or maybe the 30th year. But it was created by a great man here, Walter White. Him and Larry Marshall collectively came together. Once they retired from the Chiefs, they were out in the community doing business, as most alumni do. When they finish playing, you try to find business connections. Walter White's name is just legendary as far as the banking community here in Kansas City. A number of years in the banking industry. And then Larry Marshall has been, he's owned businesses, he's ran businesses, ran golf course. He's done just about everything there is to do as far as ownership and entrepreneurship here in Kansas City. Those two guys came together and formed this alumni group. And through the years, it's changed, morphed, it's done some different things. But right now, we're our own independent 501c3. We definitely work arm in arm, toe in toe, under the leadership of the Kansas City Chiefs. We ask them for obviously direction and advice in a lot of different areas, and we get some. We help each other with when it comes to ask, donations, and things like that. So definitely a mutually beneficial situation working with the Kansas City Chiefs, and we love our partnership with not only Kansas City Chiefs but Big Brothers Big Sisters, Camp Quality, and Kansas City Health System.
Well, we're going to dive into those particular groups that you help and you assist. I want to go back again with a little bit of history, not so much the year, but the ambassadors have been around for quite some time. And we, of course, should mention that Walter White passed away, and that was, very sad. But what a legacy to leave here with the organization and with his fellow former players. So those early years, was it as heavily focused on going out and doing community projects? I'm sure those, quote, more senior guys have shared those early days and reminisce.
I think they would love the fact that you call them senior guys instead of old folks. But yes, some of our older guys, some of our more seasoned guys, when they first got with the ambassador group, I think the focus was for football alumni in the area to, support football camps, to support high school athletic groups, just individuals that were coming out, just as football players trying to give back to the community in a positive way. And their focus group would go after companies and donors that were not already partnering up with the Kansas City Chiefs. So it was a great pool of assets available to go after, anybody who wasn't currently spending their dollars, their corporate marketing dollars with the Kansas City Chiefs, could come and be a part of our ambassador group as a partner. And we would have a big old tent in the parking lot, and Walter White's band would play music during the game. They would put up TVs and watch the game and celebrate the Chiefs from the parking lot. Obviously, a lot of a lot of beverages, a lot of food, a lot of barbecues. It was just a great event for the business community to get together with the ex-Chief players, and they would take the donated monies and dollars and funds and give back to the community and find different ways to impact the community. And that kind of ran its course for about, I think, 10 or 15 years. There was a shift of focus where it was the leadership made a determination that the vision and the path ambassador group should be more charitable in its focus, more service driven. And so then for the last, I would say, since I've been a part of the group for the last 7 or 8 years, we've been definitely more focused on hospital visits, finding ways to affect the community when it comes to, like we said, with different individual groups, like you said, we're going to go over later. But just finding ways to be very intentional and purpose-driven, and not so corporate-driven, I think, was something we decided to do about a decade ago.
That ambassadors group is unique in the NFL. Since you've moved around, how is it different than any other alumni group for the other 31 teams?
So it's real interesting because so each NFL city, right, it's 32 cities, they actually have an NFL team. In each city, you can find an alumni group. But to be a part of that alumni group, the NFL sets up, it's a NFL driven organization. It's the Los Angeles, former players association. And so if you live in the LA area and you've played for any NFL team, you become part of the LA-based alumni association. So they have these alumni associations in 30 to 32 different cities, but you don't have any really association with that local NFL team. You just had to be a former player. And so the unique thing about Kansas City is we don't have if we do have one, it's not as prominent, but we don't have a local chapter of just the NFL alumni group. So when you're in Kansas City, you actually have to play for the Chiefs to be a part of our ambassador group. You had to play for the Chiefs at least 3 seasons. And with those 3 seasons, you are eligible to be, we do a background check. We do a lot of different things. We want to make sure that we bring the right kind of guys to be a part of our group because we want to display, a certain quality, a certain standard of servitude back to the community. So it's not just something for anybody. But if you have a heart for the community, you have a heart for giving back, heart for servitude and giving back to the community, then our ambassador group is a place for you. And like I said, it's for guys that have played with the Kansas City Chiefs at least 3 seasons. And then locally, we ask you to go out in different corners of the Kansas City area and find different ways to give back to the community and be a spokesperson for our alumni group.
Have other football clubs modeled after what you've done? Because you say you have to play. So if you're in Texas, let's say, and playing, with the Houston Texans, do they have, a Texans type of ambassador group, or are we the one-off stellar example?
We are the one of one. The Kansas City Ambassador Group hangs our hat on the stability that we've been able to make as far as our ties and our ability to work with the Kansas City Chiefs in this Kansas City community. There have been some teams we've heard, the Buffalo Bills, the Broncos, the Washington team. There's been a few teams that have tried to formulate an ambassador group, but within the first year or two, it just crumbles because either the buy-in from the alumni isn't what the organization expected, or the organization, doesn't really fully support that group and doesn't help them really get off the ground and get going. So there's been some failed attempts to recreate what we got here in Kansas City. And that's just to also give another shout out to the amount of foresight not only Larry Marshall but Walter White had as far as building this format for this group, and also understanding that it takes some roots. It has to take some guys that are really committed to this this area, committed to being here, being active in the community. It's not just signing up for something and then, letting it go by the wayside. You gotta kind of take some pride in being a part of this organization, because it does take away from a lot of your not a lot, but it takes away some of your personal time, and it takes some effort. You got to drive places and go places and do the part and stuff like that. And so we found out from talking to other teams and talking to some other organizations, I don't think this organization is meant for every NFL city. It's just certain cities with certain alumni. And I think a lot of it has to do with the Kansas City community also. I think when I was a player here in Kansas City, I felt more, I felt a closer proximity to the fans than in any other place I played. I didn't feel like the fans felt like I was a celebrity. The proximate, going out to eat, rarely was I bothered for autographs. Going out shopping, people would notice you, and maybe a kid or two would come up and ask you to sign something. But some of the other big cities, you couldn't go places. You would just be swamped, and it was just Kansas just felt more like family. And I think that's probably why over the test of time, the ambassador group has been able to survive and thrive here in Kansas City, because I think most of the guys here, the alumni here who are part of our group, do consider Kansas City their family.
We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to dive for a score and learn more about the Chiefs ambassadors and how they make Kansas City the great city it is. Casey Cares is back. We're talking with Shawn Barber, 10-year veteran in the NFL, a Kansas City Chief for life, and now the president of the Chiefs Ambassadors Group. Shawn, you were talking about how staying in Kansas City, that there was an approachability by the fan base, and I've heard other people express it as they're stars and they're celebrities, but they're our stars and our celebrities. I can't help but think, if we weren't in a pandemic, that if Patrick Mahomes were out at a bar, he might get approached by a few people. But it seems to be that there's this community feel. How important has that been in the work that the ambassadors do in the community?
Well, I think it's something that it makes us feel as ambassadors to be more alive, more fruitful, more productive. And when we go out and do activities, whether it's for the Chiefs or do activities for other nonprofits, people treat us with so much respect and love. And they don't, it's not about when you played and how much you played or what position you played. The fact that you wear the colors and that you are an alumni of the Kansas City Chiefs has an air and allure and a respect level that it seems like all the youth in Kansas City gives it to you. They, hospital visits. You're trying to visit a couple that's either just had a baby or in there for cancer treatment or a numerous amount of things we do with KU Healthcare. When we're down here for the visits, you're not getting questioned about did the team win or lose this past weekend. They're not worried about how many tackles you made or how much you played or if you ever scored or not. The fact that you're a former Chiefs player, it shows that person is just such a diehard fan of our organization, our Chiefs organization. They feel like, man, I know I've seen you on the field before, and I appreciate whatever you sacrificed to be a member of our Chiefs team and organization. They appreciate how much you do in the community. And I think because we're so visible and we do a lot, it makes it so it's not that star type quality. You don't feel like when you see Keith Cash or Billy Baber, Mike Mislowski, or you see Larry Marshall, Tony Adams, any of those guys, Jerry Corneliuson or Fuzzy Kramer, any of our great ambassadors in the community, you've probably seen them multiple times at your local store, restaurant. You hear, Dana Hughes is on the color on the color broadcast now with the Chiefs as far as on game day. So you're hearing our ambassadors all throughout different radio broadcasts. You see us out in the community. You see us just living everyday life. And so it definitely takes away from that, I got to run up and meet this person, because you already feel like you know us already. We're your local alumni.
Well, tell us a little bit about how the organization actually works. Invitation only?
I mean, I wouldn't call it invitation only, but we are selective. I mean, obviously each year, I mean, there's a number of guys that we could invite. There's a number of guys that ask for invitations. And we have a selection process that we go through. We vet guys. We actually, we do take some advice and take some, a little bit of insight on players as far as from the Chiefs, letting us know about the guy's history and past, while he played, and what things did that person or that player do in the community while they were players. And then we interview them and talk to them. And to be an ambassador, you make it be known that you have the qualifications first. And then once you let us be known, we have a committee, led by Dave Lindstrom, that does a extensive background check and follows up with you with numerous phone calls and finds out, what's your purpose, your passion, why do you want to be a part of the group, what do you know about the group, try to educate that person on what our purpose and our passion is as a group. And then for a year, you come and be a part of the group. You come to the meetings, you do everything, but you don't get any votes, you don't get any of the swag, any of the perks of being an ambassador, but you just be around the guys for a year. After being around the guys for a year, we come back together after that 12-month period, and as a group, we vote either to approve that you are now an ambassador, or we sometimes say that, you might want to get some things in order first in your life. You want to do some other things, or this might not be the best usage of your time for that player. But more than likely, we're a very inclusive group. There's not many guys that have applied or asked to be a part of the group that we have turned away. Sometimes we just realize in certain guys' life and the stage of life they're in, there might be a better opportunity a few years down the road for them.
Now, do all the guys who are ambassadors live in Kansas City?
Actually, we do have about 12 to 15 guys that are non-local. That are guys that either lived here for a portion of their life and maybe got involved in an ambassador group while they lived in Kansas City, and then for business reasons or family reasons or whatever reason chose to relocate. Those are we call those out-of-towners. The out-of-towners still remain part of our group. We keep them updated on everything Kansas City ambassador information. It's just when obviously it's a little bit harder for those guys to serve in the community and get to the games and get to doing some of the events we like to do here locally. Obviously, we have a yearly gala and we have a yearly golf tournament that are our two biggest fundraisers. And we do ask the non-local guys to come back for those two events. And that's how they kind of maintain their status in the group. Some of the names you might know is Priest Holmes, Dante Hall, Christian Okoye. Those are some of the non-local guys who are still part of our group.
So you raise money. Is that right? You raise your own money. Do the Chiefs give you any kind of funding that you can then give away?
No, all our monies are raised by the members of our group. We go out and we ask for donations. We ask for people pay to play in our golf tournament. They pay to have tables at our gala in the spring. We do watch parties. We do a lot of different. We might start doing some Zoom events if we need to do. But we do events throughout the year to raise funds in order to turn those funds right back around and donate them out to different groups. We have ambassadors that are part. Obviously, when you have a group of almost 40 to 50 guys, there are things that guys have personally they want to be a part of, and so each ambassador is given the right to make a $2,500 donation ask from our group to be donated to things that they want to do on a personal level out in the community. But then we also have partnerships with 3 organizations who we give a sizable donation to on a yearly basis, between $10,000 and $25,000. And like I said, those 3 organizations currently are Kansas City Healthcare Systems, it's Big Brothers and Big Sisters, and it's Camp Quality, which is out of the Missouri side.
And how did you all decide on those 3 organizations? What was it about them that, say, hey, we're going to give a big chunk of change to support what they're doing in the community?
Well, usually it's something that's brought to our leadership. I mean, we have a leadership group that's basically formed by the past president. So if you're a former president, and you know, obviously with any organization, you have different levels of commitment. You have guys that do that just love doing stuff, and you got guys that, you know, hey, I'm raising some kids. I'm in a busy phase of my life, and I can't really donate as much time to the Kansas City Ambassador. And we respect that. We ask, hey, your family calls, you answer the bell, and then when you have time to come back and give to the organization, you do that. And so our leadership group kind of leads us in different directions to hear from different groups throughout the year. And then at the end of the year, this leadership group gets together and we kind of handpick between that, you know, we dwell it down and keep until we know that, you know, this is something we want to do with this organization for a 3-year period. This is the level of donation we want to give to. And then it's always a revolving cycle. So we do 3 organizations. And we sign them up in a different year, so that each year one of them is going to expire, and then we have to kind of reevaluate who's going to be the next group that we're going to partner with for the next 3 years. So it's fun. It's fun to be a part of a group that has you know, current assets at hand to be able to donate and bless organizations. But it's not just the money thing. We also donate our time. Obviously, we have a lot of intellect when it comes to what's going on the football field. So doing chalk talks and watch parties and different football 101s led by a Chiefs ambassador, doing stadium tours, having a stadium tour done and then having an ambassador kind of go along with you to talk about some of the old stories and tales that actually go on in the locker room is an experience all to itself. So there's a lot of ways our ambassador group can make a normal donation into an extravagant experience just by having some a Chiefs alumni, Chiefs ambassador, that little extra ingredient kind of will take something and make it adds a wow factor that it's very hard to replicate.
So how would an organization connect with the Chiefs ambassadors? What's the best way to reach out to all of you?
Well, so because we are part of, you know, definitely affiliated with the Chiefs, you can go to the Chiefs website, chiefs.com, and there's a tab for ambassadors. There's as far as the Chiefs outreach is concerned, there's a young lady named Amanda Carlo who runs the Chiefs outreach program. Her and Chuck Castellano, who is those two together, head the Chiefs outreach program. I'm reaching out to either one of those individuals and showing some interest in getting a Chiefs alumni, Chiefs ambassador to make an appearance or something is the most efficient way. And there's online there's a donation ask and an appearance sheet that you can print out and fill out and turn into those in either one of those two individuals. And then we actually, you know, through social media, you can definitely reach out to us on Twitter, on Facebook. I think our handle on Twitter is @KCC Ambassadors. That stands for @Kansas City Chiefs Ambassadors. And you can reach out to us through those means. So we're definitely not hiding. We're easy to find. You just kind of keep your ear open. You're before you know it, you'll hear there's an ambassador someplace at your local charity or doing something amazing in your community. So we're so appreciative of the of our community, of how, you know, through open arms, open hearts, that we've been able to be embraced by the Kansas City community. So this is a way for us guys to just continue to give back, continue to model, mentor, empower, engage, and equip our community to be the best Kansas City Chiefs fans, the best NFL fans in all the nation.
Yay! We have to talk about it. This has been a year like no other with the pandemic, et cetera. How has that impacted what you all have been able to do?
Well, I mean, it's definitely put some handcuffs on us. You know, going into 2020, you know, right where the March Madness hit, you know, we just won a championship. We were just looking for an entire offseason of the Kansas City Chiefs ambassadors are going to be making a great impact because we were now being supported by a championship team. We got new rings, and we're going to showcase these things all through the community. And we had a great calendar set up, but that just wasn't the plan. Pandemic hit, shut things down. And so we had to put a freeze on a lot of our donations, our yearly donations and things. But we look forward to 2021, gearing up, restoking those fires and getting those community donations flowing in and flowing back out. And finding a way, even if the amount of opportunities for us to get in person isn't there in 2021, through Zooms and through Skypes and through other vehicles of being able to make impacts, we'll find a way to still make a positive impact, put a positive spin on 2021, and we're going to just continue to this, do what needs to be done. One of the words that's been so influential to me over the last couple months is the word flexible. Being able to be flexible. You got to be flexible in this time and period. Things are just going to be a little bit different, but you can still add so much impact, letting people know you care, spending time with them, listening to their stories, opening your heart, your mind, your spirit to what other people's needs are, and being able to find time to fulfill those needs. And as an ambassador group, we make a commitment to the Kansas City community that we're going to be there, open arms. We're going to find ways to just continuously impact the community wherever the need may be.
We thank you. Thanks, Shawn, for coming. And thanks to the Chiefs Ambassadors. Thank you for listening to Casey Cares, Kansas City's nonprofit voice. We're produced by Charitable Communications, and we're proudly sponsored by the Ewing Marion Kaufman Foundation. If you'd like to be a guest on Casey Cares or Underwriting Opportunities, check out our website, kccaresonline.org. Spread the love. Find us on Facebook and Twitter at Casey Cares Radio, and on Instagram, Casey Cares Online. And catch us on ESPN 1510 AM and 94.5 FM Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. Thank you for listening and watching Casey Cares.